What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint coming to you from fanboysanonymous.com. Why am I saying fanboys? I'm that tired and that messed up in my head. Smarkoutmoment.com is the pro wrestling site, Tony. Jesus Christ, I got 3 more of these to go pretty soon. 2 more of these. Even that, oh man, all over the place today. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, as you can tell. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
Hi.
And Robert DeFelice.
We are NXT. NXT is horny. Whether or not we are remains to be seen. But let's talk about it.
We are a lot of things tonight. Hopefully you guys are a lot of things that are good tonight as well. We had some good things going on this pay-per-view here for NXT Stand and Deliver that we're going to be breaking down. We got some nitpicks that I'm going to be talking about too. You know, there's always a little bit of good and bad in almost everything. I see we got some people in the chat right now. We got Peter, we got Marco, we got Carlito Caribbean. Cool. That's cool. We got Marco, we got Sniper God, and we got the guy 123. So chat it up in the chat, everybody, and tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, and everything else that's happening there. I'm feeling, for all things considered, for being sick right now and for being tired and all that, I'm feeling pretty good. How you guys feeling?
I feel great. I watched this show from my couch. I got to watch it like a fan. It added to the experience, so I feel good.
Yeah, I was for the most part it was enjoyable time. It went by pretty quickly, and I got to lay down for most of it, so that's fine.
Hell yeah!
I'm very envious of you guys.
I didn't stand as the title suggested.
Did you deliver anything then?
What did you deliver?
Food got delivered during the show.
Nice.
All right, what'd you get?
Just some McDonald's.
Nice.
It feels like that's the sort of it's that sort of weekend. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to cook at all.
What's your go-to McDonald's order?
I take the. Should I reveal this? It's a bit.
Yeah,
I take the on my own. Have the 20 McNugget share box.
All right.
And 1 large fries and 1 medium fries.
Nice.
1 large fry and a medium fry. I was expecting you to say 1 large fry and then follow it up with a milkshake or something like that. Yeah, not and a medium.
I just take 2 bunch of fries and all those chicken nuggets.
Yeah, those nuggets, as much as they aren't chicken, they are pretty good.
They're good, whatever they are.
I had a chicken sandwich for lunch today. What'd you eat, Rob?
I munched out on some potato chips and some brisk. I'll be ordering a pizza before WrestleMania.
Nice, brisk's great. So we got snack talk out of the way. Let's get into NXT Stand and Deliver. We had several matches here. We had a contest of who's hotter. We had a couple other things here and there. We're going to break things down from start to finish here, starting off with the kickoff. And as we go along here, we want you to not only chat if you are in the live chat, but if you're listening to this afterward, leave a comment below. Tell us what you thought about this. If you are checking this out on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done that already, ring that little notification bell as well. Hit the share button to pass this along with everybody else. And if you are in the same camp as Chris Marin from last night, where you want to hit the join button and get access to the members only content, that is the same thing as the Patreon, patreon.com/SmarkOutMoment, not Fanboys Anonymous, but you can support Fanboys Anonymous if you want to support that as well. It's all kind of the same thing. It's all under the same A Mango Tree umbrella. Or tree, whatever you want to call it. And it's a nice day out. It's not anything for an umbrella. But I see Peter's got a sliced pizza and 3 rice balls. Some arancini.
That's so odd.
So let's get into the kickoff, which the pre-match side of the kickoff didn't have too much going on from my notes. They had a little segment here where Idris Enofe was hyping up hyping up Malik Blade when they were interviewing Malcolm Bivens. They kind of interrupted the whole thing to show that Malik Blade had a gift basket that he was going to give to Mandy Rose because he's got a crush on her. And it turns out
he's horny.
Could very much so. There's multiple instances of this throughout the night. Throughout the day, I should say, midday. Still thinking that it's night. Enofe played a prank, though. A little late April Fool's thing, where he actually let him into Imperium's locker, and Blade comes out and he's like, oh, I'm going to be scarred for life on that.
Well, also, he gave terrible advice when going into any locker room and said, don't knock, be a man and just barge in there. What's the worst that could happen? And I guess he saw some Walter penis. maybe.
Not some Gunther.
not.
Let's see what else happened on the pre-show. They did a little segment that they did later on in the night where Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta had gone shopping because they wanted to buy Dexter Lumis and Duke Hudson some cowboy outfits. You know, who's going to be the sexiest cowboy in Dallas kind of deal.
Because they're horny.
Again, yeah. It's one of the 5 maybe instances throughout the night of that. Outside of that, though, we had the match. The NXT Women's Tag Team Championship was on the line. Toxic Attractions, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane defended against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez in a match that was pretty decent. Not my least favorite match of the night by any stretch of the imagination, where I liked that they incorporated a couple little character moments here and there. One being Dakota Kai is super happy again. And if you had any doubts about her being a babyface, she's slapping the hands of the fans going to the ring and everything. And they're telling the story that now that she has gotten over the broken friendship with Raquel Gonzalez, now she is back to being happy-go-lucky and everything, which is good because, hey, now that means that her fractured psyche was a matter of being guilty over ruining her friendship. It's a nice little moment that they kind of mentioned and brushed over a little bit here and there. But I also more particularly liked that they incorporated Wendy Chu back into the mix. Because if you had seen on NXT, they had a scenario where Wendy Chu had been taken out by somebody, you would assume Toxic Attraction, and then they do the Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez reunification, and Wendy Chu is just not a part of it. And we were kind of criticizing that, saying she just gets pushed aside. Well, she gets incorporated into the finish here. She hits Gigi Dolan with a pillow, and that doesn't really do anything because it's a pillow. So she throws coffee in her face. I liked it. I'm not sure if I really like the idea that Toxic Attraction lost the tag titles because I really wanted Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez to go up to the main roster. But, you know, at least they're going to get a proper, seemingly, run with the tag team titles. They've already held it longer than what they did before because they only held it for an hour the last time. And since this was a pre-show, look at that. They're already beating their record. So, all things considered, this gets summed up for me. How'd you guys feel about it?
I liked it. I think Callum was the one of us that said they would actually win the belt. And I'm here for it. I told you that I felt like it was just sort of resetting the tag title scene, which is just odd. Like they just went back a year and were like, okay, let's go back and try to do this right this time. But I like it. I like Dakota. I like Raquel. If they're not ready for Raquel on the main roster, by all means, don't rush her if you don't have anything for her. So hopefully they can have fun.
I thought it was fine. It was, to be honest, I thought it was just kind of there. It was an okay match. I didn't think it was anything particularly special. The Wendy Chu involvement was probably the highlight of the entire thing, and even then, it's just a case of, wow, you let her hit one of the champions with a pillow and throw coffee in her face, and not a DQ. Okay, that's kind of the leap in logic. But then again, every promotion takes liberties when it comes to that kind of thing, when it comes to finishes. So yeah, I understood the reference for it, and yeah, I think that it's a better place to have those two as tag team champions. They get to have a decent run with it. The team that beats them eventually will probably get a bit more shine off of it because those two are, I mean, Raquel's former NXT Women's Champion. Dakota Kai is one of the most tenured people that they have in the women's division there. So yeah, decent match. Decent way to kick off the show.
Peter in the chat saying, I'm surprised that Tony didn't play any pranks yesterday for April Fools. A couple people got fooled by that. Tamina and Dana Brooke added to the card as the kickoff thing. I sent that to a lot of people over the course of yesterday, and some people fell for it. He also says that he thought that Mandy was definitely losing after this, that the Toxic Attraction was going to get called up. I was kind of thinking the opposite, actually. I was like, oh, you know what? Toxic Attraction loses this, but I'm pretty sure that Mandy's going to retain, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But at the end of the kickoff, we started getting the entrances for the North American Championship match. And, you know, Santos Escobar comes out, Solo Sikoa comes out, Grayson Waller comes out. We're transitioning into the main card of the night. And that already made me go, okay, I knew that this was going to be Carmelo Hayes, Cameron Grimes, and probably not any of the other ones, but that really signaled it for me of it's down to those two. With that being said, though, I thought that this was great. The North American Championship ladder match had moments where almost everybody had their little time to shine. They had a little part that I liked a whole lot where I wrote it down. It's kind of like an Oprah thing of you get to jump to the outside and you get to jump to the outside and whatever, because everybody was doing it. It was like Escobar did a tope and then Solo Sikoa did a jump in some fashion. I forget what he did. And Cameron Grimes launches himself and Grayson Waller gets himself all hyped up. He's ready to run the ropes and go do this. And he grabs a ladder. Like, that's a good little heel moment there. I like that quite a bit. Loved the sunset flip powerbomb from Santos Escobar. That was great. I liked Sangha just breaking a ladder with his bare hands. We had a whole segment in here where all the extras, because it was Sangha and it was Legato and Trick Williams, they all just got involved and kind of about like 3/4 of the way through the match, they were the ones doing all the action. So that makes sense. Everybody's beaten down, so let's get all the extra people to help out and whatever. I also like the idea that Grayson Waller had a moment where he was going to retrieve the belt and he was debating whether or not he wanted to do that or jump off the ladder. And they were playing it off as, does he want to go viral or is it more important to get the championship? You know, does he have, like, which motivation is stronger for him? It's a good little moment that explains why he didn't end up grabbing the title and why he later on would jump through a ladder and seemingly injure himself. Hopefully not. I haven't seen anything that indicates whether or not he actually is injured. Do you know anything about that, Rob, by any chance?
Doesn't seem like it.
Look, I mean, I saw his arm go limp. So I think from the naked eye, he's injured. But let's hope not. Because it was a nasty, nasty, nasty bump. I can't believe he took that, honestly.
Yeah. I was going to say, you should probably be worried that his arm goes viral after.
Yeah.
So I like this match quite a bit, and I am endorsing the idea that Cameron Grimes is the new champion.
What I loved was the urgency in the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Carmelo is like, I want to win. He gets taken down by Santos, who immediately gets hit with the double stomp from Cameron, who flies up the ladder because there's urgency in needing to win the match. Everything from Waller jumping through the ladder to the finish was like maybe 5 minutes, but it all felt proper and urgent, and that's good.
Yeah, I think that I think this was the match of the night for me by a considerable margin, I'd say. But all the people just flying about all over the place, doing your classic multi-man ladder match, loads of great spots. I think there was a lot of innovation. One of the things that I liked the most actually was one of the most simple, which was Solo Sikoa doing the kind of Umaga drive into the corner and then into like 3 people with a bunch of ladders. And then what I like most about it is the last guy comes out and he just pushes the ladder forward and Solo just catches it with his hand really lightly. And it's just like, oh, okay, that looks pretty cool. But yeah, there was lots of high risk stuff. The cave in on the ladders on the outside where like you had Carmelo get involved that as well. Like the Carmelo was more kind of interested in showing off than getting the title, whereas Waller was always in a constant battle in his mind about whether he does something exciting or he does just go straight for the title belt. He was the clear like main heel of this match, I'd say. Like he was the one that the crowd was totally against winning, and he gets that huge dive that looked gnarly and always in every single way because it's just the ladder didn't break at all. It just bent while he went through it, and it's I hope that he's not injured, but I can't say that I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't badly injured after that. But having Grimes win, as Rob says, in the urgent way that he did and getting up the ladder, like just climbing up there really quickly, getting to have that moment of standing on top of it, the crowd celebrating, he points up to the sky to remember his father. And yeah, it was a really good moment. I think it's about time that Grimes held gold on the NXT roster.
That's another thing that I sort of felt like was resetting a year because it seems like he could have gotten there a year ago, but I love this. I love this move. And I gotta say, the crowd was super into Uso. I don't know if it's just because they know that he's their brother, but they were all about Solo Sikoa.
I mean, if they're going to chant Uso, which, I mean, you would assume that they would, I really think that when he eventually comes to the main roster, they need to just be like, look, he's one of the Usos. Like, just do it, you know? You're not going to pull the wool over everyone's eyes.
Well, I think he should just come up as the third Uso.
Me too. Yeah, just do it.
The crowd is chanting Uso at him. He does all of the Usos moves. He should just go up. There's really no reason in keeping him in NXT forever, because worst case, like, okay, he might win the North American Championship. If you push him heavy enough, he might win the World Championship. But realistically, if you're going to bring him up and he's probably just going to be an Uso anyway, what's the point of making him World Champion?
I thought it would have been a really cool moment if, like, either the Usos or Heyman was in the arena and just sort of pulled him aside, like, hey, don't worry about losing. Come on, we need you tomorrow night because Roman's going to need help with Brock, you know?
I mean, if they really want to do something really fun with, like, a tie-in with the Bloodline, they could pretty much just have a quick thing where he's backstage talking to Heyman, and Heyman could just be like, remember, you're representing the family. Like, you don't even have to imply anything else. Just that, and then be like, you know, hey, that's because of the Bloodline. Like, that whole kind of thing. Like, but yeah, everybody having some good spots here and there. This is a good way for Hayes to lose the championship without looking weak, because he didn't take a pinfall. He didn't tap out. He gets to be like, you know, hey, I'm the one who volunteered to fight 5 people in a ladder match, and I didn't really lose the championship. You just climbed up a ladder. Then fuck you, pal, you know? And that frees up Carmelo Hayes to move up to the main roster, frees him up to move up to the NXT championship picture. I don't know what the future has in store for him. I thought I knew what was in store for him, and then something else happened on this night that made me go, maybe I don't. Okay. So that was a good, solid match. My favorite match of the night, definitely. And then that transitioned us into the Tommaso Ciampa versus Tony D'Angelo match, which started off with Ciampa doing Triple H's entrance, you know, spitting the water out, and then doing the Shawn Michaels pose inside the ring, which I thought was really cool.
Yep.
And that just, okay, I thought I was the only one that thought it was cool. Okay.
I mean, I don't really have much else to say beyond what I've said so far. So,
yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of the night. Actually, I thought so. I really liked that there was a "Where's my pizza" chant during this match. And this match overall, it gave me the sense that Ciampa was fighting from underneath, and he really wanted to make sure that he would win his final match and whatever. He lost ultimately, and he lost in part due to something that he had set up. He had pulled the ring mat on the outside away and exposed the concrete, and it was Tony D'Angelo that hit a DDT and then ended up scoring the pin through that. I thought that the ending was flat. I don't know if I would have gone in that direction of you DDT on the outside, you put him on the inside, and then he just goes for like a kick and kind of a lackluster finish. But ultimately, I thought it was okay. Not my favorite match of the night. But I liked even more so what happened afterward, which was Ciampa had a little moment to have his "Thank you, Ciampa" crowd chant. And when he was coming back up the ramp, Triple H came out to give him a little embrace and just kind of show him some love. I'm realizing right now that I have the wrong graphic up on this. It says event preview and predictions rundown. That is completely the wrong thing. So I'm going to change that as you guys are talking. What do you guys think about Tony D'Angelo versus Tommaso Ciampa?
The match itself was whatever. Like, it was Ciampa plays the hits. Everybody knows it's Ciampa's last match in NXT. He said as much on Tuesday. I loved the entrance, the Triple H water spit into the Shawn Michaels pose. That was really cool. Good match. I'm not excited to see the NXT of Tony D. That's just my take. Like, he's fine, but I'm not blown away by it. I had no idea who the guy was.
Yeah, I have no clue who that was either.
He's a boxing promoter.
Oh, okay, cool. They had shut down a playful, but I guess all things considered, incentive chant of "Where's my pizza?" which they were chanting at the guy and Tony D. But it seemed like that was settled down quite quickly. Look, the DDT on the concrete didn't hit. That was the first weird thing to me, that it just really looked like Tony D goes into more of the concrete than Ciampa. And then the double kick didn't really feel that effective, but it was what it needed to be, a flat moment for the audience so they could boo Tony and really get into, hey, it's Ciampa's last match. And then the camera cuts, and I'm like, they can't possibly be doing this right now. It's a live event. Like, what are they doing the Peacock, oh, we're going to commercial for? And I guess that's because they did, because the Triple H thing happened, and then Vic Joseph says, if you have Peacock Premium, you saw this. So I guess that's the kind of thing that they did actually cut to a commercial for. But the Triple H thing was awesome. Exactly what it needed to be. I got a little emotional at it because it's just like Ciampa was like the last NXT pillar that was still there. So cool moment. Excited to see what Ciampa does next. And happy to see Triple H.
Any other thoughts you guys have? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I think that the match was, again, it's one of the ones that's kind of there. I thought it was good when Ciampa was on offense, and then when Tony was on offense, it was kind of It was slow and boring and methodical. And yeah, the DDT on the concrete didn't look great. The kick at the end it seemed really weak and light. Actually, he just didn't actually want to hurt the guy, and so it made the pinfall seem very flat as well. So in terms of Ciampa's entrance, the thing that I enjoyed the most was that whole like little rundown, like montage of his career in NXT up until like to the point where he came out. I thought that was really well put together, and WWE's production team is always very good, so I had no doubt that was going to be well put together. But yeah, the match was there. It's a way to get Tony D'Angelo a bit more momentum, and we'll see where he goes from there. I presume him versus Cameron Grimes for the North American Championship might be the direction they go with somewhere down the line. But yeah, it was something that happened. The main story is the thing that happened afterwards, with Ciampa getting the ovation from the crowd, the hug from Triple H, and all that great stuff. So yeah, it was your typical NXT pillar emotional send-off. And we have to see what's next for Ciampa, because it's kind of up in the air, it seems.
I also want to point out, I believe this is the first on-camera appearance of Simone Johnson. She was in the video package. She was one of the people that was walking into the room and watching the video of Ciampa.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I don't remember her popping up in anything else, so yeah, it might be. As far as Ciampa's future is going, how do you guys see this playing out? Guys, Peter in the chat saying he thinks that he's just going to be released because he's another Triple H guy. I'm leaning more towards he actually is going up to the main roster, and I think that his unannounced but eventual appearance in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is another indication of that.
I think he's going up to the main roster, and I think he's, spoilers, if you don't subscribe to Fightful Select, you should. I think he will get paired with Edge. I think he'll turn heel, get paired with Edge.
I didn't think about that. That's yeah.
I mean, I know what I want to happen, which is he leaves, because I don't want anyone good working for this company.
Look, I agree with that.
So I want him to leave and reunite with Gargano and the Independents. I don't really even want them going to AEW.
Not even AEW, really.
It's too crowded in AEW.
Well, they got Ring of Honor.
Yeah, maybe Ring of Honor. Maybe if they're like a Ring of Honor team. But I think other places need to have talent of that caliber now, because other companies aren't going to get elevated if they don't bring in some top names like that. And it's not like AEW needs Ciampa and Gargano, as great as they are.
I'm fully hoping that he goes up to Raw or SmackDown. I don't know where I would really rather have him.
He's just going to be mid-card.
But I want to see these matches that I didn't get a chance to see. I want to see him have a match with Orton or like, feud with Kevin Owens or something, like there's a lot I want to see.
I'll put it like this. I think he's going to the main roster for at least the next several weeks. I hope to see him get paired with Edge, but if he goes, I wouldn't be too brokenhearted about that because there's a lot of good he can do in the wrestling world.
Well, like with everything else, drop a comment, everybody. Tell us where you think you're going to see Ciampa next. And then we moved on to the NXT Championship, Tag Team Championship, I should say, triple threat match. We got a Creed cloth rally towel thing going on with the Creed brothers. MSK has their DJ entrance, and Imperium has a shitty new theme.
I'm not brokenhearted by it. You can see that this is the direction they were going. They want to own everything again.
But that's a royalty-free song.
They want to own everything, though. They don't want royalty-free. Look what happened with Jeff Hardy.
I think that's just so lame, because I'm like, man, Ninth Symphony is so good. And
especially for Walter, but I understand it. And even if I don't like it.
So I hated that. I was actually a little bit disappointed in the match itself. I didn't dislike the match by any means, but I thought it could have been better. And there were only a couple notes that I had written down here and there. One of them being just a little stupid joke. Barrett had called Marcel Barthel the sour-faced German, and I wrote down, is he a sauerkraut? I liked MSK flipping around. Peter says too many flips. But I was shocked to see MSK win the titles. I thought this was easily going to be a Creed Brothers win.
Yeah. First of all, I want to point out at least one move in the match, which was that cannonball from one of the Creed brothers.
Yeah,
which
popped
me because it's like you never see that. Who just let's do a cannonball. I like the suplex, the different take on the Tower of Doom. I was very, very surprised the MSK win, and this again felt to me like, hey, you want to do it again, but like this time we'll have fans and a clear direction. Like, MSK is fine, but even as an NXT tag team, even though I don't think there's a lot for them on the main roster, as an NXT tag team, I think you've done all you can do. I was very surprised to see them get the win. I also want to point out, Joe Pearl told me this on Twitter, that it looks like the people beating up the Creed brothers and dismantling their locker room and all that is pretty deadly. And I don't know how I feel about them on the main roster, on the NXT side of things, because I wonder how they would fare. They are characters, though.
They don't strike me at all as the type that would be doing that kind of an angle.
So it'll be interesting to see if it is them and where that goes. But MSK, man, I'm just sort of like, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, again, it's one of those matches that was good in places, other places just a bit blah, a bit too much stuff happening all at once. I think that just by watching the match, you could tell that the two members of Imperium are by leaps and bounds better wrestlers than both members of MSK and both the Creed brothers. They were just, everything they did was so crisp and so, I won't say flawless, but like so well put together, whereas the other two were a bit all over the place. You could also tell there was as seems to be the case with every MSK match, a select portion of the audience that were close to the microphone and booing very loudly, especially when Nash Carter was in the ring for reasons which I don't think we really need to go into, but if you're following Twitter at any point in time, you probably know what they are. So I'm surprised that they got the win because of that, pretty much for that reason as well, because you know how WWE kind of wants to steer away from those sort of things. They've seemed to have decided to steer straight into it.
I think they're good if you've been keeping up on Twitter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Just to very quickly address that, Kimberly had tweeted something about, kind of damning Nash Carter for something. We don't know what. And then today, is like, now we just had like a married squabble, which was just like, well, it's a much better end of the story than I thought it was going to be. But at the same time, it's just kind of, that was an unnecessary detour. Okay, moving on, kind of a deal. You know what I mean? Like,
but it is kind of also to the effect of a mixture of what Rob said is the fact that these two have already been at this position, and it doesn't seem like they gain anything from being champions again.
Mm-hmm.
And also the fact that they're going to go back to NXT, going back to the that arena where everyone hates them, and now they're champions, which means they're probably going to hate them even more.
Unless that's the plan to turn them. Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it. That none of their mannerisms suggest that they're turning heel.
Well, not yet, but I mean, like maybe they're thinking long term. We'll take them back to Orlando. We'll have a run with them as a heel, and then send them on their merry way.
Yeah, I was convinced the Creeds were going to win this one as well, and then they would immediately have a feud with the people that took them out of the match earlier for the titles. But I guess they're doing that separately, and I don't know who would challenge MSK next. The only real team that seems to be in any sort of position to do that would be Legado, but I don't think that they're
Briggs and Jensen.
They're baby faces though.
You always call them Brooks and Jensen.
They're baby faces though. I assume it's going to be Carmelo and Trick Williams probably.
Well, the weird thing about this was I figured not only did I assume that the Creed brothers were going to win, but I was like, all right, well, if there's an off chance that they don't win, it's going to be because that other team attacks them, because this is an ODQ match. And we didn't see that other team. So that was strange to me, to be like, not only are we going to go with the people who didn't win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which at this point, both tournaments, utterly useless with the way that things played out. Yeah. But it's like, we're going to go back to MSK. We're going to rule out the Dusty Cup as being worthwhile. And we're going to set up an angle where we could have had the Creed brothers lose because of some interference, but we ignored it too. They're kind of all over the place with this. And I don't know if that's one of those scenarios where the original plan was, let's put the belts on the Creed brothers and we can do the Dusty Cup and whatever. And then just plans just changed and they were like, it's going to be messy, but we're going to get to this point. And then after Stand and Deliver, we just have a reset and then we'll figure it out. I'm getting that kind of vibe a little bit, but no mention at all, or no appearance at all of this mysterious tag team. And
my guess is they wanted that reveal for the TV show. And maybe maybe that other team couldn't travel to Texas or whatever, you never know.
In any fashion, MSK are the tag team champions right now and started to get a little bit of a theme going here of champions changing hands. So we went from that over to a couple little extra interstitials, a little vignette for Nikita Lyons. And then we had a little Joe Gacy thing talking about the JFK assassination. And
what was that, by the way? Oh, and I hope it all stays peaceful from here on out, but that's up to you guys. Like, are you saying that you would be willing to assassinate the president, you weird person? Like, what was all of this?
It's his new finisher where he does like some kind of a move and he goes back into the left or something. In any fashion, it switched over to another championship match, the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship. And again, like they did with the Cameron Grimes and the Carmelo Hayes entrances being the two that are on the actual card, I felt like this was, all right, it's Cora, Jade, and it's Mandy Rose. And then in between them, they just happen to have Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray. Cora Jade they referred to them as what, like the skateboard company? I think.
Was it the Devotion Skateboard Company?
I couldn't catch the first thing, so I thought that they had just said the Skateboard Company, which I was like, that's pretty...
It's the Devotion Skateboard Company. It was, just some skateboarders around her, and then she didn't
skate.
yeah. I was going to say, it's actually quite refreshing to see some people during Cora Jade's entrance that can actually skate.
Yeah, so I'm getting the vibe, and I saw some of this on Twitter, that she legitimately cannot. And they just said, hey, this looks like you, so why don't we go with this? but I guess she can't skate, so they don't.
This also hit Twitter like several months ago because everyone got super pissed about how Darby Allin called her out on the fact that she can't skate when obviously he skates to the ring as well, just thinking that she's like a rip-off. And this is a perfect opportunity. Skate down to the ring. We just have to go down the ramp. That's all we need to see. And she'll just carry the skateboard. She'll just carry the skateboard because she probably thinks that she's going to fall over if she does that.
Like shit. Like I'll admit I don't know how to roller skate. I never learned how to roller skate. Never really cared to, but I can't imagine with a skateboard that it would be all that difficult to learn how to just go down the little ramp like that and skate around the ring one time. Like, you're learning how to do way more complicated maneuvers in the ring. I'm pretty sure it gets down on a board. So that...
Well, to be fair, she's learning them. She's not exactly picking them up.
In any fashion, though, like, they really should have... If she doesn't know how to skate, she should have learned by now. If she does know how to skate, why is she walking to the ring with a skateboard? It's just dumb. It's weird. So it's either a bad decision creatively or why didn't you learn it yet? In any fashion, it's wrong. Why am I saying in any fashion so much today? That is the phrase. I'm going to try to nip that in the bud. But she has a special entrance to a certain extent. And so does Mandy Rose. She comes down from the heavens, so to speak, with these angel wings, and Wade Barrett's gushing over. Do you recognize that podium? Which I thought was really funny.
I popped for that. She asked me for it, and I gave it to her because she deserves it.
And she's got a new NXT championship belt.
Yep.
A tinier belt.
Yep.
Which immediately made me go, is that for Cora Jade? Because I don't think she's winning this match. I think that Mandy Rose is winning it, but maybe Cora's going to actually win it. I like the look of the belt, by the way. Looks good. You got a white strap. You got a couple little tweaks to it, but they kept the old school logo, which is good. We'll talk actually more about that in a little bit, but I like it. What do you guys think about the belt?
I like the belt a lot because they added an effect that if you look at it in the right light, you can see all the different colors that's now associated with NXT. And I think it's just good that they have a new belt because they completely rebranded. So why have the old belts?
It's nice. I like the white strap. Again, I don't really go super gaga of belts unless they look like amazing, and I think it looks good.
So I've got almost nothing to say about this match itself.
I've got things to say because it went pretty much how I expected it to go, which is it was good when Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai were wrestling, and it was bad the rest of the time. And that's basically the pattern. And yeah, it was. You could tell immediately. Like I don't have many notes again about the whole match, type spot by spot, but there was a few things that I recall. One was they did like this symphony of dives to the outside. So Cora hit a dive onto Mandy on the outside. Then Kaylee goes to hit a dive on Cora. Cora does not catch her properly at all, and so Kaylee hits hard on the ground. And then just to show how the professionals do it, then did a moonsault off, which Kaylee caught expertly and landed very comfortably. So basically just like was dropped like a feather onto the ground. It's like, see, that's how like wrestlers do it. And then we had to watch more and more of Mandy and Cora trying to do stuff. Cora, when she gets like angry and like mad and she hits those really weak strikes on the back of either Mandy or Kaylee Ray and stuff like that, it's just like, oh god, just can you actually learn how to somewhat fight in these instances? It's just really embarrassing how lightly she was hitting all these people. And it just went through a cycle of it was good for the parts where Kaylee and Io were wrestling each other or they were the ones in control of the spots. Mandy was there to she was fine. She was doing the things that she needed to do. And for the most part, I thought Cora was really an embarrassment in this match and has shown that she doesn't really belong this high up in the pecking order, even in NXT.
So you loved it.
I thought the match was a disappointing mess overall, and the wrong person won because it's just maintaining stuff at the moment, which is that apparently NXT is about all the fresh and new, and well, as we'll talk about later on as well, the two main champions are essentially people that weren't good enough to be on the main roster anymore.
Spoilers, man. I thought the match was fine, but like I admittedly I wasn't watching this like super critically. I was just like, this is nice to be sitting on the couch and watching NXT. So I thought it was fine. I'll tell you something though. Dallas loved themselves some Mandy Rose because when she won this match, they popped like crazy. I don't know why.
That one person's Randy from Mandy.
Yeah.
There was side of the crowd.
Everyone, Mandy was like super over in this crowd, and it's just a case of
pretty girl is pretty.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a case of like everything they've done building her up is that she's the heel. She's got the group surrounding her. She cheats to win. Then you immediately decide to do the thing which they seemingly can't do, which is their big heel champions are the gutsiest baby faces in their entire promotion, where you essentially have all three of the baby faces surround the heel. Like, okay, we're all going to beat up the heel now, and Mandy fights them all off on her own before like she gets overwhelmed by all of them. And yeah, that's okay. That's how you want to do it. That's totally fine. But I just don't think that. I think you're making her a babyface when she should be your top heel. And yeah, having her win, it makes sense because EO has already been champion. I think Kaylee probably should be at some point, but they don't seem to have that same sort of investment in her. Cora is totally not ready for that position yet. I just don't know who's next.
Nikita Lyons.
100%. Nikita Lyons. Talk about someone who again is not ready. Let's put it this way: if she survives the match with Lash Legend, then maybe. But I think that is a recipe for disaster right there.
Lash Legend, by the way, is my current pick for that. She is going to team with somebody and become the next tag team champions.
Look, they seem to like what they have, and I said it before with Raquel, if you got nothing for Mandy on the main roster, which I can't believe that you wouldn't, especially now that she's this heel with a team around her and she also has Sonya in her back pocket, then keep her on NXT. But like Callum said, it does become concerning of who's next. Or do you just stretch this out into another single with her and Cora?
Just put it this way, in this match, she beat the two probably other best wrestlers on the roster for the women's division for NXT, outside of probably Wendy Chu, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. And she's already beaten Raquel. She's now Dakota's tag team champion, and Wendy Chu might be positioned to be the next challenger because everyone does seem to like Wendy Chu, and she's a very good wrestler, so I wouldn't be against that idea, even though the gimmick is a bit weird to be your champion is a woman who sleeps most of the time and wears pajamas to the ring. But yeah,
she maybe she could have a pillow fight.
But outside that, that's your top layer, and then like dropping down, you've got Nikita Lyons, Lash Legend, Elektra Lopez, people of that ilk, and they're just
none of these people can work. Wow,
they're not good enough. They are very much the developmental side of developmental.
And to be fair, and I want to say this again, I said this a lot with NXT, but there's nothing wrong with that. My only request would be, please take it off of national television and just stick it to your app, because it's annoying that it's like, here are these people now who have this USA deal because this was less than 3 years ago the alternative brand, and now it's something completely different. And I think that being on USA hurts it.
I thought we got more out of that than I was expecting to, because I was just sort of like, meh. The match was meh. It's my second least favorite match of the night. And I was like, all right, Mandy's going to retain. And she did. Kind of like that's pretty much all I had to say.
Less than this tag match.
Well, we're going to get into it in just a moment. But before, we have the poll of who is the hotter couple. Is it Duja or is it Index? And Index wins with 89% of the vote, which just pisses off Duke Hudson and Persia
Who'd you
Perota.
vote for, Callum? I'm sure you voted. Who'd you vote for?
What are we talking about?
Okay.
I didn't even know that the poll was up yet. So I didn't even get a chance to.
The show when they first showed the thing during the pre-show.
I guess I walked away for a split second or something. But yeah. So Index wins. You know, they're the baby faces. They win all those polls. For the
now
most part.
they'll have some sort of mixed tag match.
Yeah,
next week or the week after or something.
That's the way that this is going to go, and that's the way that it should go. I mean, when you have the ability
I did
to
enjoy
do
your
that.
tweet. Yeah, I did enjoy your tweet about this, Rob.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Which I said, can they all just fucking get it over with? Because that's all it is. Like, Indy and Persia don't want to fight. They just want to have fun with their guys, and I just think they should all just fucking... everybody's happy.
Well, we know that Duke Hudson apparently used to fuck Indy, so...
Like, look,
there's your connection point.
We covered the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast, the stuff with Nydia and Jamie Noble. That eventually ends with Nydia, Jamie, was it Billy Gunn and Tori?
Yeah.
All in bed together? Like, you don't gotta show anything, but if you just a little clip and people laugh and we can move on.
I mean, at this point, I don't think they'd be too ashamed of showing anything at this point, because some of the stuff they were saying and the pre-show and all this stuff as well, it's like they're making real. Well, it's weird because it's like it's very obvious innuendo. So I don't think they'd really shy away from doing something that's like pushing the boundaries, because this is how you attract the young audience. You just have people fuck all the time.
And you have Jason Jane do the DX crotch chop and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly. You just take it back to the 1990s when wrestling was cool.
I mean, it is Sean and Hunter's thing, so we'll see.
But then that took us into my least favorite match of the night: Gunther versus LA Knight.
I agree with you on that.
I literally have even less to say about this match than I did with the women's Fatal 4-Way. This did not keep my attention whatsoever.
Dude, I don't like. Obviously, what they call him, Walter, Gunther, or whatever. If you put him in the ring with Braun Breaker, I'm gonna be very intrigued. But like the presentation of him here, and LA Knight just being there to be fed to him, I didn't care about this.
Right, like
it's
like so many different matches that we've seen of Gunther before as Walter were fantastic. And I just ultimately didn't give a shit right now. You know,
it's wild to me to think about a couple of months ago. This could have been Walter Pete Dunne if you just wanted to do a match. Like, that would have been a fun match. But honestly, if you were going to do this, I would have preferred if this was the match on the pre-show and the tag title change was on the main card.
Same here.
So you're both wrong. This match was significantly better than the both women's matches, and probably
it's good because it's two people who can work. But I'm just saying it didn't matter.
Oh no, and it definitely didn't matter, and there was no heat towards it, and the crowd kind of ruined it because they keep shouting Walter, which is the correct way to pronounce his name. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get the change, so stop chanting it because it's just like taken away from the match. Like, because they're more interested in chanting Walter at Gunther rather than, you know, actually getting interested in the match. That's the issue. That's what, again, I don't say it's entirely WWE's fault because it's the fans chanting it and the fans will do what the fans do. But you didn't have to change his name. You didn't have to make him Gunther. You could just make him Walter, and none of this would ever be happening. But you decided to make the change, and you're kind of reaping what you sow in that regards now. And it's a big detractor in a lot of his matches at this point. But yeah, this is probably the worst Gunther Walter match that I've seen on WWE. I think that's mainly due to the fact that LA Knight is a bit of a limited worker. He does wrestle kind of, it's just punches and a few other little spots here and there, but it's nothing super spectacular. And it is interesting to see Gunther's physique now. It's taking some getting used to.
He's looking great though.
For me.
I mean, oh yeah, it's fantastic, and I'm sure it's absolutely for the best for him. It's just he doesn't look as intimidating.
Yeah,
yeah. I liked big barrel chested. I'm gonna kill you, Walter.
And I'm sure it's better for him. I'm sure that means that he'll be able to move a lot more agilely. He'll put a lot less weight on his body when he's doing like splashes and stuff like that. So it means that it's going to be better for him in the long run, and he looks better, and I'm sure he feels great and all that other stuff. So eventually I'll get used to it, and eventually it will start to really work for me. But at the moment I'm still in that transition of, it doesn't look like you can throw people around and beat them up as significantly as before. I mean, he looked a similar size to LA Knight in this match.
Yeah.
And Walter actually works best with guys that are smaller and more mobile that he beats up for the most part. Whereas he was up against a guy of a similar stature who's not as great of a babyface or a worker in that regard. And that meant that the match was sloppy. So don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that this is a great match or anything, and it wasn't anything that I was super excited about by the end of it, but I still think as a wrestling match it was far better than the women's Fatal 4-Way beforehand.
I'll grant you that.
So Gunther wins. He offsets a little bit of the damage from Imperium from earlier in the night. They're still not the tag team champions anymore. They still have this awful new theme, but whatever. And then we go to that little heartbeat drum backstage, which I always like. It's always a thumbs up for me. And Bron Breakker grabbing a chainsaw. And when he comes out for his entrance, there's the NXT logo with the paint splatter stuff inside of it, which is slightly different from the logo that we've got. So it's, I don't know what they're really going with there. They didn't know why they didn't just make the logo the way that they have the logo, but whatever. And then he takes the chainsaw and he splits the X. And I wrote this note down to myself. I'm like, wait, he broke the X of the black and gold. Now he's breaking the 2.0 thing. Is he just going to like rechristen the brand every couple of months? Is that Bron Breakker's gimmick? It's just like fuck it. Now it's NXT 3.0, and then a couple months later 4.0, and like
I wouldn't have done this entrance with Bron simply because, like, honestly, if you're just using blow up letters, get a DZ and have him chance on that. You know, like
split the DZ makes sense. Yeah,
because it just when he did it to the black and gold, it looked more symbolic of like, out of here and with the new, you know, but he's doing it here. It just makes it seem like, okay, that's his thing. But he's just gonna beat up the NXT logo for some reason.
Just fuck logos. That's his gimmick. He's showing backstage with other things, like he's taking like the WrestleMania sign and he's just bashing the shit out of it with a sledgehammer. And they're like, "Yo, Bron, what are you doing?" He's like, "I don't like logos."
I very much enjoyed Ziggler in proper Ziggler gear, is the trunks, because it seems like that's what Ziggler wears when he cares, and it seems like for this run he's actually been interested in what he's doing, and he said as much in interviews leading up to this, where he said he's been bored and he's felt stale on the main roster, and he's actually excited about what he's doing. So that was fun to see. He was working with a rock, because like Bron Breakker, and I mean this in the best way possible because he's going to be world champion one day, is just so intense and stiff. And it was a fun match to watch in that regard because Bron Breakker feels like a wrestler, you know? I liked it.
I thought this match was incredibly dull. Like, it was so boring. It went on so long, and they weren't doing anything. And Ziggler was like having rest holds for half the match, and it picked up towards the end when you started getting like Breakker was spearing him all over the place and getting spot. But I kind of checked. I kind of checked out as soon as Ziggler took off the turnbuckle pad, and they didn't do anything with it because I was just thinking, oh, the turnbuckle pad's gone. That's got to play into something. So I was waiting for that to happen. And the fact that that didn't play into the finish until the end, or it played into the finish, I just meant, okay, I'm really not paying attention to anything that's going on in the match because the turnbuckle thing hasn't happened yet.
I thought I missed it. So, like, it went on so long, and when he hit the second spear, I was like, oh, did I miss him hit the buckle already? So when we get to the finish and then it comes into play, I said, okay, he'll kick out. And I was very surprised. Big of a Ziggler fan as I am, was very surprised that he retained here.
Same here. I was not expecting Dolph Ziggler to retain this title. I figured even more so when they did the whole thing where they were like, lots of championships changing hands tonight. we're going to go into the women's title match. I'm like, okay. Even more so, Mandy Rose is going to retain. Then we got the Gunther match, and Gunther will win that, and it'll be 2 heels, just 1. And then we have Bron Breakker win. Babyface wins. Neither title change. We split up the title belts, all that kind of thing. I was like, all right, well, I know where I'm getting into. I'm pre-writing up my response of Bron Breakker winning the title and everything. And then the next thing I know is Ziggler hits a super kick. I didn't even see the turnbuckle thing. So the super kick was just like, all right, he's got a super kick and whatever. And then 3 count happens. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what the fuck? I just did not expect it to be the end of the match. And now I am calling into question, do they just bring him up to the main roster already?
I don't think so. I think that they just want to keep Ziggler in NXT because they're liking the fit. But I do think he eventually loses it to Breakker. I mean, look, if they called him up, that's fine because he's got a great physique. He's got that it factor. Like, I just feel like he has it. He seems like the second coming of Goldberg more than he does of Steiner. Everything he does feels so impactful. He can't work that long, which, very Goldberg-like in that way, but he seems explosive, and I enjoy Bron Breakker. I'm also happy that Ziggler staying on NXT means, cool, he's going to actually do something rather than pop up and say it should have been me every couple of months.
It's kind of my, again, big issues with this, beyond just like not super enjoying the match in general. If they are calling Bron Breakker up after this, which I think it's not a certainty, but it is definitely a possibility considering the result, who does he feud with? Because realistically, Dolph Ziggler on Raw is just a level above a jobber.
Mm-hmm.
And he just beat Bron Breakker, which means that he's better than well, I know it was cheap to win, but by that result, he's better than Bron Breakker. And so how do you push Bron Breakker beyond that point without him having beaten Dolph Ziggler? And if you just having beat on Raw without a title on the line or anything like that, it's just a case of, okay, why isn't he just NXT champion then? And that's my big issue with the whole Ziggler thing in general, is that he's not just on NXT. If he was just on NXT, I'd be totally fine with it, because even though, as has been spoken in the past, I'm not Ziggler's biggest fan, it's a case of, yeah, he's a big deal compared to a lot of the guys on NXT. He can be a veteran, having good matches with some younger guys, help them get up to speed and be a good, veteran champion for the brand. But the fact is he's still wrestling on Raw and losing pretty much every week, which means that it makes him look bad in the eyes of the people that are watching both shows. And then if he beats people in NXT, it means that the guys in NXT are just chumps because they're losing to a jobber, essentially.
I think there's 2 answers to this. I think the real answer is that's because they don't figure this stuff out ahead of time to properly balance things. And I think that the WWE answer is, fuck you, we're going to say that Bron Breakker is a former NXT champion, and we're going to act like none of this matters, and you don't watch it anyway. So if we have him on Monday Night Raw fighting Omos, and he beats the shit out of Omos, we're just going to go, wow, it's a great match for Bron Breakker, new upstart in Monday Night Raw roster.
Yeah, I guess we've got to think about it in context, because realistically, probably about 10,000 people watch this show anyway, because it's on the middle of the day before WrestleMania. Who's really gonna? Well, not everyone is sadomasochistic as we are.
And I mean, that being said, I do believe the collective was packed, and that's also the thing. Is, listen, NXT didn't have the hype going into this event that they would have going into a takeover 2 years ago. This is kind of like, that's the new NXT, and it's out in the middle of the day. Do you really want to go to that, or do you want to go meet William Regal at WrestleCon?
Almost every single person that I know, whether they follow this stuff as much or even just casually, either forgot that NXT was today or they just didn't care. So it's not like this
moment writer Ben was like,
yeah,
wait, what time is NXT? Oh, it's in an hour.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not the strongest event for NXT. It's very much indicative of the fact that this whole 2.0 thing is just not as good as the Black and Gold era was. And with that in mind, I still did enjoy the show, but it's graded on a curve. If this was compared to like a Black and Gold show, this would be crap compared to it. But a black and gold show was just better. So that's how it works. This was fine. There's some parts that I didn't like.
Months to embrace that NXT is no longer what I want it to be. So, yeah, I thought this was fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next time that they have a takeover. I don't know if I can watch this week to week, but I will always watch the takeovers / special events or whatever they call them now.
Yeah, so overall, I thought this was fine. It was pretty unoffensive in general. Things obviously I didn't like, but there's things I liked as well. And I think I'm going to look upon this more negatively after WrestleMania, though, because I had to watch this for 2.5 hours, where I could have been napping before WrestleMania instead. So that's...
I wonder if by the time we get back here for the WrestleMania post show tonight, if Callum's just going to be like, that fucking NXT show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of, I kind of get the impression of, like, as a standalone show, it was fine to watch. Like, it was an easy watch for the most part. But just in the overall context of the day, it's probably something that I could have done without.
Yeah, I mean, if this would have been just on the TV show on Tuesday, that would have been fine.
It did seem like a bit of like just a special episode of NXT.
Yeah.
I did like seeing them in the arena, though. Like, it felt good to see them in an arena.
I mean, anytime that you've got a bigger crowd, it's probably going to help it. Of course, depends on the crowd a little bit too, but all things considered right now, despite the fact that I am feeling sick and I am tired and all that stuff, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. I don't know if I'm going to be feeling that same way later on tonight after WrestleMania, but at least I'm not going into this with like, oh, this was so terrible and now I'm really pissed or something. There's some stuff I didn't like about this, but overall, it gets a thumbs up for me. And we want to know what you guys have to say, so drop a comment below. Tell us your thoughts. Thank you to Marquise for the super chat. Here's $2 for no reason. For any reason it is. It's still really appreciated, so thank you for that. And we will be seeing you guys later on tonight, of course, after night 1 of WrestleMania. But in the meantime, chat it up, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Check out the TeePublic and Redbubble shops for the merchandise side of things. I mentioned at the beginning of this, check out fanboysanonymous.com for everything that's happening over there. Like the Morbius review that Caroline and I did. And I've got a couple other articles coming out and stuff, so you will find all that stuff all at Tony Mango, where apparently I am an AEW shill. I didn't know that I got paid extra from them to hate on that. I would have thought that all the times that I talk bad about AEW and get called a WWE fanboy, that, you know, I'm just taking money from both sides and doing that, aren't I?
Let's just be honest. You're just awful, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm the worst. But that's happening. I'll be tweeting here and there, so follow me there. Follow what these guys have going on. Follow them on their social media and everything else that they want to plug. Rob?
Yeah, follow me at Dude Felice. Follow Fightful. Sean Ross Sapp should be on his way home from Dallas after being punched in the balls by Denise Salcedo and thrown over the top at the clusterfuck. So he'll be on the WrestleMania review show for Fightful. I'll be over here talking to Tony and Callum about whatever happens tonight. Follow everything going on with Fightful Select, because if Cody hits the building, I'm sure Fightful Select's going to have it first. Yeah. Callum?
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out, early today I published the final edition of the power rankings for the 2021-2022 season, so you can see who finished top of the standings, who got the most number 1 spots, all of that stuff. So who's like in the final positions at the end of the year, because as of next week and post WrestleMania, it all resets. We start right from the beginning again. So make sure you check all out, every single edition as well going forward. And yeah, I think that can round off there because we've got a lot more talking to do.
Yeah, holy shit. WrestleMania starts in an hour.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So one good benefit about me doing this with the live thing with the OBS and all that, I don't have to do as much editing. So this will be up already. And I'll see you guys in a couple hours or so. But in the meantime, adios for now. We'll see you then, everybody. This has been another Smark out moment, and we are being counted out.